Welcome to the Resilient Path with Fran Evans. Thank you to the ones who are walking this path with me and to the ones joining for the first time. It is good to have you here. Today's message is from Genesis 19. Genesis 19 opens with, the two angels arrive at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. "My lords," he said, "please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night and then go on your way early in the morning." "No," they answered, "we will spend the night in the square." But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. So for these verses, the two angels that appeared to Lot were the same angels who appeared with the Lord to Abraham in Genesis 18. Lot greeted them by bowing down with his face to the ground, told them they could wash their feet, spend the night, and then go on their way in the morning. The angels declined and said they would spend the night in the square. But Lot insisted strongly, and they went into Lot's house. Lot prepared a meal, and they ate. So basically, Lot greeted the two angels the same way Abraham greeted them in Genesis 18. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so we can have sex with them." Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, "No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have two daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." "Get out of our way," they replied. "This fella came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge? We'll treat you worse than them." They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. After reading that, I had to pause, and I tried to visualize what I just read. All the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so we can have sex with them." Not just one man, all the men, young and old in the city of Sodom, wanted to have sex with two men that were actually angels. Lot told them, "No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing," and Lot offered his two daughters who have never slept with a man. But the men did not want Lot's daughters, and they told Lot, "Get out of our way," and said, "You came here as an alien, and now you want to play judge? We will treat you worse than them." And they pressed forward to break down the door to get to the two men. The two men inside had to reach out and pull Lot into the house. And then they struck the men, young and old, with blindness, so they could not find the door. Not only did these two men want to commit sexual violence against two angels, they also threatened to do worse to Lot. After reading what they wanted to do, how they acted, and what they said, Genesis 18, verse 20 to 21, makes more sense to me. Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." I noticed that the Lord said, "Their sin," not their sins. Now let's look at what they did. The men of the city surrounded Lot's house. They intended to commit sexual violence against the visitors. They rejected Lot's plea. They became increasingly violent. They tried to break down the door. The men of the city of Sodom, young and old, were all in agreement to commit sexual violence. Genesis 13:13 already said, "The men of Sodom were wicked and sinning greatly against the Lord." Genesis 19 shows how wicked their sin was. Yet the Lord said, "I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." The two men said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it." Against its people. This also made me pause, because they did not say against the Lord's people or against his people. They said its people. Genesis 19, verse 13. Genesis 19 does not say the people of Sodom called on the Lord like other verses in Genesis do. For example, at the end of Genesis 4, it said, "Men began to call on the name of the Lord." The emphasis on its people makes me think of Genesis 14, when the king of Sodom told Abram, "Give me the people and keep the goods for yourself." I am not certain if there's a connection between Genesis 14 and Genesis 19, but that particular part in Genesis 14 stood out to me. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, "Hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city." But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. This stands out to me because it reminds me how easily people, including myself, can fail to recognize the seriousness of a warning. With the coming of the dawn, the angels urge Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." When he hesitated, the man grabs his hand and the hands of his wife and of his 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city. For the Lord was merciful to them. Now, Lot's hesitation is fascinating to me. Lot told his sons-in-law, "Hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city." Yet Lot himself hesitated. The angels had to take him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand and led them safely out of the city. For the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back, and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I will die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." He said to him, "Very well, I will grant this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." This is why the town was called Zoar. By the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillow of salt. Just to recap what led up to the Lord raining down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah. Genesis 13, the men of Sodom were already described as wicked and sinning greatly against the Lord. Genesis 18, the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah was so great, and their sin so grievous, that he would go down and see whether it was as bad as the outcry that had reached him. Abraham then pleaded and interceded for the city, asking whether the Lord would spare it if 50, 45, 40, 30, 20, or even 10 righteous people could be found there. Each time, the Lord answered that he would spare the city for their sake. In Genesis 19, the men of Sodom, both young and old, from every part of the city, surrounded Lot's house. They all intended to commit sexual violence against the two angels visiting Lot. They rejected Lot's plea to take his daughters, threatened Lot and continued pressing forward to break down the door to get to the two angels. The angels reached out and struck them with blindness. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah, towards all the land of the plain, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land, like smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the city where Lot had lived. God remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe. For me, this ties right back to Genesis 12, verse 1-3. The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot had lived. Genesis 19, verse 29. Lot and his two daughters left Zoar and settled into the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his two daughters lived in a cave. Genesis 19 does not give a reason why Lot was afraid to stay in Zoar and decided to settle in the mountains. The same mountains the angel told him to flee to when they brought him out of the city. When the angels told Lot to flee to the mountains, Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I will die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." The angel said to him, "Very well, I will grant this request to you. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." That is why the town was called Zoar. So now Lot and his daughters are now living in the mountains in a cave. One day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to lie with us, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine and lie with him and preserve our family line through our father." That night, they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and lay with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, Last night I lay with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and lie with him, so we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and laid with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughter became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today. Genesis 19 verses 31 through 38 is very direct. The daughter said, "Our father is old, and there's no man around here to give us children." They decided to get their father drunk with wine. They each slept with him on separate nights. Each time, Genesis says, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. Clearly, Lot was not aware of what his daughters did to preserve their family line. Quick recap. The Lord heard the grievous outcry from the city. The Lord sent 2 angels to Sodom. The men of the city responded with aggression and threatened sexual violence against the visitors. The angels rescue Lot and his family from the city. The Lord judged Sodom and Gomorrah. The Lord remembered Abraham and brought Lot out of the catastrophe. I encourage you to read Genesis 19 for yourself. Learn about the Lord God Almighty. To help this channel grow, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned. Genesis 20, coming soon. Peace, light, and love.